Hey, this is Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and today we're going to be talking about objects. So, what is an object? An object is is useful because you use a class, and you could create multiple of what are called instances of it. So you could have, for example, if you had a class like we went over before, you either have a class of car, or you have a class of something like student. You could create multiple students with different variables in each. So you could have, like I said, some sort of data structure where you have that set up. Each of these would have the exact same variables inside of it, but the variables would have different values. For example, let's say we have a student Bill, a student Tom, a student Jake, etc., etc. Now, Bill is going to have something different in his. He's going to have a different GPA than Tom, and he's going to have a different GPA than Jake. Bill's also going to have a different last name, a different last name than Tom, and a different last name from Jake. He's also going to have a different schedule than Bill, and this different schedule than Tom, and a different schedule from Jake. But they all have those same variables, as you see. I'm just representing it with dots. Same exact variables. So you can still use this same class. In this case, we call it a data structure, but we're going to have different values. And as you notice, even Bill would be the type. So we would say Bill is a student. So depending on the language, you would do student Bill. And now Bill is a new type of student. And what are we going to say? Bill has a 3.0 equals new, etc., etc. That has to do with building an instance, which we'll talk about later. But you don't really need to know that, I guess. You create a new instance, and then you can have multiple copies of the same object, but different values for those instances. Also, another big thing between object-oriented programming languages, such as Python, JavaScript depends. C#, C++, Java, Python, all are object-oriented program languages. C is not. Now, the biggest difference would be that you could create instances of that object, and for example, like we said previously, we would have Bill, and then we could have a dot, and we could use those methods inside there. So let's say we want to calculate GPA. Now, when we do calculate GPA, we pass nothing in there, it will use Bill's variables to calculate the GPA and return those GPA values to us. And then we could have it like the other, we could have Tom, and we could separately calculate, let's just say that it was calc. We could separately calculate Tom's GPA separate of Bill's. So these are two different instances, and they have two different values inside. And as you saw in the previous tutorial in the constructor, that's where we set the, is when we create the new structure, which I'll talk about in the next tutorial. That is where you would put in all of your, you put all of the variables inside, or you could separately change it. Alright, so another one that we were talking about was we were talking about cars, right? So same exact thing with cars. You could have like a Camry, Mustang, F-150, like a Supra or something. These are all types of cars, and they're going to have very similar. They're going to have, cargo space. They're going to have seats. They're going to have number of seats, etc. But this number of seats could be different from this number of seats, this number of seats, and this number of seats. But they all have number of seats. They all have engine sizes. They all have 4 wheels. So you'd have like wheel size, etc., etc. But we're going to have these all as cars. So here we're going to have, so all we would do is say car Camry, car Mustang. This would be a truck. And this is a car. So these are sharing the same type of class. They're using the exact same class, and this guy would use a slightly different class. So these guys would have all the same variables, same exact variables as the rest, but the values are going to be different. For example, let's say this one's 4, this one's also 4, but this one is 2. So but we could do that because it has its type of a data structure. I know it's very hard to grasp, but you'll see in the next tutorial when we get in and create and have a sample of a language creating a instance of using the constructor to create a new instance of an object, which is using classes. So as I said, these are the classes, and this is the name of the car. So this is the identifier. So then we would say like Camry. We would go into that class and call that method using those variables and say like calculate weight or calculate MPG, calc MPG. This would return a different result than if you did Mustang.calc MPG. This would give us different value than this one here. So that's why we have different data structures and different names, so that we could store different values inside, but they're the same exact set. You'd have number of seats, engine size, cubic inches of the engine, towing. For example, on trucks you had towing capacity or MPG, size of tires. All the cars are going to have that exactly the same, but it would have a different name of the car, a different make, a different model. That's where it's different. So you could create all of these and put it inside of an array or have it stored on a server and be able to use all this information to calculate data. So as a programmer, your job is to write a program to create a data structure to have all these things inside. For example, if you did it for a school, you'd have a student that would hold their GPA, their age, their grade level, etc., etc. And then be able to do those methods inside in order to calculate something with those variables. All right, so next tutorial I guess we'll talk about constructing objects. Initializing objects. All right, I'll see you in the next tutorial. So I'd like to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like it in this series and other series as well. If you have any questions, email me, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys later.